at this particular moment of human history. A moment where everyone defending the earth, defending people's rights, is treated as a criminal, while criminals try to rule. We literally have gangs of 1% standing behind 3 corporations controlling agriculture and seed and chemicals and medicine, 5 controlling food and trade in agriculture, 5 selling us junk food in packages. We are talking about a tiny criminal gang violating every law of every faith and every religion, violating every law of the earth, violating every human right. And beginning this session with Berta is not about remembering an exceptional situation that Berta symbolizes, but the norm that is today and the norm we must change for a higher norm. And the higher norm is living in accordance with the laws that allow life to prosper on this planet and the gifts of the earth to be shared by all. When Pope Francis wrote the Laudato Si and I was interviewed from India, I said, this could be written from India as the distillation of the faith, the multiple faiths of our land. When he says, we are not God, the earth was here before us, and we are here to keep it and till it. And then he explains that means caring for the earth. That's what agriculture means, the culture of care for the land, not the poisoning of the earth. You will see outside posters I have put out of the new coming together of an old poison cartel that made chemicals to kill during the war, that made chemicals to kill people in concentration camps, and out of those chemicals they made medicines that continue to kill us, both by being hazardous or, if they work, being patented so they're not accessible for treatment for all. That gang is now reduced to 3. Bayer and Monsanto have merged, Syngenta and ChemChina have merged, and Dow and DuPont have merged. These were those whose only expertise was how to kill. And they managed to turn that expertise into the only knowledge called science. I'm a scientist. I've done a PhD in quantum theory. For me, science is about maintaining. First, knowing how nature works, then working in accordance to those laws of Gaia, and shaping our economy, shaping our science and technology on that basis of law. Not saying, I'm going to be master, I'm going to kill. Here are the tools of killing. I'll call them agri-chemicals, I'll call them essential for food. And all you create is not just dangerous tools, but stupid tools. Outside, we've left from Navdanya the idea of making iron in banana 7,000 less efficient than the biodiversity we have received and can use. The Bt eggplant with poison in it, Bt genes produce toxins. It was rejected in India through public hearings, through people's democracy, slyly introduced into Bangladesh, thinking you take a weak country, twist its arm, and then make it globally accepted. Finally, even the New York Times has had to admit genetic engineering does not increase yields. This is the cover news yesterday. It has increased the use of poisons, but not the availability of food. How did all this begin? It began with saying the earth was not our sister, Mother Earth, but dead matter to be exploited as raw material. Whether it was minerals or land itself became a commodity, and with land becoming commodified, you get the homelessness, you get the refugees, you get the destruction of small farms, you get the hunger. All the problems we are trying to address are problems of grabbing the land that does not belong to those who grab it. It is a commons we must care for. It is our commons home. And an ancient text of India, and I would recommend to all of you, go to the website of our international campaign of seed freedom called seedfreedom.info. Last year we worked on soil and land and the refugee crisis. The issue of how the refugees are created either by destroying the home through wars, destroying the home through desertification, destroying the home through violence. And we knew 4,000 years ago, upon the handful of soil our survival depends. Take care of it, it will grow our food, our fuel, our shelter, and surround us with beauty. And this is so important because anywhere where people take care of the land, the territory is beautiful land. Wherever it has been treated like a place against which you must declare war, it remains a war. And then it goes on to say, abuse it and the soil will collapse and die, taking humanity with it. We are the caretakers of the soil, of the earth. And again, while working on this manifesto, we realized that the word human comes from the word humus, which is the Latin word for soil, but is the scientific word for fertile soil with mycorrhizal fungi in it. We are the soil. We are not separate. The idea of separation was constructed by the powerful in order to separate us from our natural world and our home. So the separation, which I have called eco-apartheid, apartheid means separation, eco-apartheid means separation from the earth, first in our heads, then in reality, and creating the homelessness that is the human condition today. Returning home is the revolution of today. Both returning home philosophically in our minds to say we are at home on this beautiful planet, and as Pope Francis said, it is our common home. But also ensuring that in being home, we are both exercising our duties to protect that home, but our rights of deriving our lives and livelihoods from it. Every aspect, whether it's the waste pickers, whether it's the landless, is eventually about the uprooting of humanity from its home. And coming back home, being rooted again, is the answer. We can only do it with the kind of diversity we see in this hall. It's not just logos of Monsanto and Bayer. Every banner is unique to itself, just like every species is unique to itself. And again in Laudato Si, the Pope says, it is not enough to think of other species merely as potential resources to be exploited, while overlooking the fact that they have value in themselves. Goes on to say that human beings being endowed with intelligence must respect the laws of nature and the delicate equilibria existing between the creatures of this world. For he commanded and they were created, and he established them forever and ever. He fixed their bounds and he set a law which cannot pass away. Now, forever and ever means permanence. Biodiversity of species can evolve forever. We have destroyed species at more than 10,000 times the normal rate in today's time. 93% of cultivated plants, their varieties and species, have been destroyed by industrial agriculture just in the last 50 years. And in the last 20 years, more than 75% of it is accounted for. And why did this happen? Because a fossil fuel agriculture, that poison agriculture, turned to agriculture as a place to sell the leftover poisons of the war. Then they had to create the monocultures. They had to destroy the diversity. In the process of destroying diversity, they've left us with the desertified lands. And they haven't given more food because 90% of the corn and soya of this world goes for biofuel, driving cars, and torturing our animals in factory farms. This is not a food system. Food is that which nourishes us. Food is the bread of life. That's why in every faith, it is the sacrament. Every faith, it's the sacrament. We've just had a trial, a public trial of Monsanto in The Hague. the Monsanto Tribunal. And our theme was, our bread is our freedom, because our bread is sacred. And we cannot allow it to be poisoned. And we definitely cannot allow it to be patented. I have dedicated the last 30 years of my life to saving seeds and the integrity of creation. Because I think the idea of a Monsanto being the creator of life is an obscenity that should not be tolerated by humanity. I sometimes say GMO, genetically modified organisms, could mean God move over. We're now going to collect rents from your work. And we collect so much that we can bully any country, bribe every government, and take over, which is what they're trying. And my moral fight has been, no, that little seed has its own integrity. That little mustard seed that grows into a plant on its own and gives you thousands of mustard seeds. That is the answer to scarcity. That is the answer to slavery and freedom. So Navdanya was created to keep seeds free and farmers free to save seeds, because every duty of ours to the earth is being treated as if it is a criminal act. Saving seeds is a criminal act under patent law, under most laws pushed. The good news is, wherever we have responded, the corporations have had to retreat. In India, we did not allow patenting of seeds and patenting of life. Across the world, laws that would make seed saving illegal have been stopped. And around the world, seed saving has now been recognized as the new duty of the earth. But hand in hand with the issue of patenting life goes piracy. I call it the second coming of Columbus. You know, Columbus came with a letter patent, and I feel so grateful to Pope Francis, not just for what he's saying and doing, but that he has undone the damages of 500 years ago. If you read the papal bull of the 15th century, and you read the Laudato Si, you can see how far humanity has traveled, recognizing that a piece of paper given by the powerful doesn't create rights to the earth. That stealing is still piracy. Today what's being stolen is our knowledge, our biodiversity. I have had to fight cases on the piracy of neem, the piracy of wheat, the piracy of rice, the piracy, 1,500 patents on climate resilient crops. Yesterday there was a talk about church land. I think every church and every institution of faith should become a place for a sanctuary for seeds, a seed bank. We've created 120 in our country because the idea of land, of water, of seed being the property of a handful of corporations is the first violation against the earth and against creation. These are the commons that nourish us all, and we must reclaim these commons. We have succeeded wherever we have worked, in India across 25 states, but also around the world with movements. And my colleague Ruchi is here, and do get in touch with her if these are movements you would like to join and become part of. We forget that we are made of the food we eat. We are the soil, we are the seed, we are the sun that shines on us. And we managed to put food in the background, and I am actually very heartbroken to see priests drinking Coca-Cola in the refectory downstairs. It should be banned from the Vatican. I didn't know how damaging it was. I just knew it was ugly brown liquid. I knew it's bad for health. I knew in 1977 they had been thrown out of India for financial crimes. They were hiding taxes. They were removed from India. Then they came back with globalization. And it was women of a tribal area in South India who called me in 2002 to say, come and join us, we are fighting Coca-Cola. So I went. 100 women, 500 policemen. Why were the women fighting Coca-Cola? They taught me. For every liter in a bottle, there's 10 liters destroyed, leaving women without water. Women were walking 10 miles. They said this factory must shut. We struggled together 2 years later, the Coca-Cola factory was shut in Plachimada, the first time in the history of contemporary corporations. Since then, we've shut 3 more. And for solidarity with every community trying to defend their water, I do think the institutions here, both for the sake of the earth and the sake of their health. I feel sad for these priests being absolutely unhealthy. Priests, living on a diet of chips. We saw chips and Coca-Cola, the ultimate sophistication of junkness. Now, food has become the single biggest ecological issue, the single biggest health issue, the single biggest democratic issue. In terms of the environment, 75% destruction is because of industrial agriculture based on fossil fuels. Soil, water, biodiversity. 50% of climate change greenhouse gases, I have a book called Soil Not Oil. 50% of the gases come from this fossil agriculture. And yet in ecological farming, we have 100% solution to all of these problems. 75% of all disease are today food related. They call them lifestyle. No, they are imposed junk food culture diseases. And every time a community passes a fat tax, they are then made to withdraw it. At this point of time, taking care of the earth is also taking care of our bodies and our spirits and our souls. There are 3 simple steps we all need to take together, because whether you are a waste picker, 75% of the waste today is the wrappings of junk food. Well, we could be involved in creative earth protection economies, coming to zero waste, because in nature there is no waste. Well, even while we recycle in the transition. 3 things I would leave you with. We've got to stop land grab, and we have succeeded. POSCO stopped, Niyamgiri stopped, 3 ordinance for land grab stopped. I would suggest a message goes from this meeting to Standing Rock, where 500 years after, the indigenous people are still standing to say, we are with you. We are all standing, and we will be standing when this system will collapse. The second, no patents on seed, because Monsanto is not the creator. No patents on seed, no patents on life. And on this, a little idea that next year, I started this work because the GATT and WTO was being used to impose these illegitimate laws of owning life as if they were created by Monsanto. Next year, in Argentina, will be the World Trade Organization Ministerial. We stopped them in Seattle, we stopped them in Cancun. They must be stopped, but not just WTO, no TPP, TTIP, no TPP, no Canadian-European trade agreement, no free trade, which is freedom for corporations to trample on this earth and our lives. Finally, we must join hands to get rid of the poison cartel, the gang of 3 criminals. It is possible when we join as farmers, saying we will only practice agroecology, when we join as eaters to say we will not eat poisoned food, when we join as citizens to say we are Earth citizens of one Earth family in one common home. This unity is given to us to now live. Let's live it together. Thank you.